Correct weighting is an essential element of any relaxing dive. If you're overweighted, then you'll need extra air in your BCD to establish neutral buoyancy. That will add drag as you move through the water, which in turn will increase the effort you'll need to expend and thus the amount of air you'll consume. On the other hand, if you're underweighted, you'll feel too light to stay at depth comfortably. In that case, you'll need to struggle to stay down, which can lead you to take less than full breaths, and the resulting elevated carbon dioxide levels in your blood can generate feelings of anxiety. So the key to a relaxing dive is correct weighting. You don't want too little and you don't want too much. You want it to be just right. To establish optimal weighting, start with a full tank and carry just enough extra weight to account for the weight of the air you'll breathe during your dive. Keep in mind that your tank stays the same size whether it's full or empty, but it weighs more when it's full. The weight difference between a full tank and an empty one depends on the tank size, but is typically about 2 to 4 pounds, or about 1.5 to 2 kilograms. That difference equals the additional weight you'll need at the beginning of your dive, so that by the end of the dive, you can float at eye level while holding a normal breath, but you descend when you exhale. When your tank is full at the start of a dive, you should be able to do this with about half a gallon of air, or about 2 liters, in your BCD. How much air you'll then need to add or let out depends on 2 things: how much compressible material you're wearing, such as how thick your wetsuit is, and how much lead you're carrying. If you have more lead than necessary, then you'll have to add more air to your BCD to become neutral, which means you'll need to add or release additional air every time you change your depth. Ideally, you should carry just enough so you can hover neutrally buoyant near the surface with only 500 psi or 50 bar remaining in your tank and almost no air in your BCD. This will be when your tank is lightest and your wetsuit is least compressed, and thus when you'll need the maximum amount of lead. Conversely, when your tank is full and you're at depth, meaning your suit is compressed, you'll need the most air in your BCD to remain neutrally buoyant. You should start every dive with some air in your BCD and add small amounts of air as needed during your descent. Then at the end of your dive, you should let air out of your BCD as it expands during your ascent. By the time you reach your safety stop, your BCD should contain the least amount of air of the whole dive. If you reach over your shoulder during a safety stop and can feel a big bump of air in your BCD, then you're carrying too much weight. You should take this into consideration on future dives.